Roman Reigns confronts Bron Breakker backstage on SmackDown, tension explodes. What happens when the tribal chief crosses paths with the hottest rising star in WWE? You won't believe what Roman Reigns had to say to Bron Breakker. In this dramatic backstage moment from WWE SmackDown, Roman Reigns makes his presence known and sends a clear message to Bron Breakker. With power, pride, and a history of dominance, Reigns asserts his authority while Breakker refuses to back down. Is this the beginning of a new war within WWE? In the dimly lit hallways of SmackDown, where legends are made and grudges simmer just beneath the surface, a storm was brewing, and no one saw it coming. Roman Reigns, the self-proclaimed tribal chief, hadn't been seen walking the backstage corridors like this in months. The last time he moved with this kind of purpose, someone ended up either injured, exiled, or embarrassed on national television. But tonight wasn't just about asserting dominance. No, this was personal. This was about protecting legacy. This was about Bron Breakker. Now, for those of you who've been living under a wrestling rock, or too distracted by Logan Paul's prime bottles to notice, Bron Breakker isn't just any rookie. He's a wrecking ball with a last name that screams Hall of Fame pedigree. The son of Rick Steiner. The nephew of Scott Steiner. The DNA of suplexes, barking, and Steiner math runs through this man's veins. And on SmackDown, he's been tearing through the roster like he left the cheat codes on. Week after week, Bron's been making statements not with words, but with pure violence. But what caught Roman's attention? It wasn't just Bron's victories. It was the way Breakker spoke about the future, the way he referred to himself as the new top dog. And let's be honest, in Roman Reigns' world, there's only room for one dog at the head of the table. So when the cameras cut to a backstage segment, fans didn't expect much. Maybe a catering brawl. Maybe Dominic Mysterio getting slapped again. But what we got was a showdown worthy of a WrestleMania poster. Bron Breakker was seen standing near the interview set, jaw clenched, arms crossed, fresh off another win where he left his opponent needing medical attention and a career reassessment. The sweat was still glistening off his brow when the unmistakable beat of Reigns' footsteps echoed off the concrete floor. The camera panned left, and there he was, Roman Reigns, flanked by Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu, walking like a man with a score to settle. No words were exchanged at first. Just a cold, calculating stare from Reigns, and a defiant smirk from Breakker, who looked more amused than intimidated. That's when the tension became suffocating. You could hear the fans in the arena gasp, even though they weren't supposed to be able to see what was happening backstage. But this? This was too big to hide behind curtains. Roman stepped forward, arms folded behind his back like a disappointed father about to deliver a scolding. "You've been talking a lot," Reigns said, his voice low, but cutting through the silence like a dagger. "Talking about being the future, the new top dog. You sure you know what you're saying? Because where I'm from, we don't bark, we lead." Breakker didn't flinch. In fact, he stepped closer. You could practically see the testosterone bouncing off the walls. "Maybe it's time the old dog got put down," Bron fired back, his voice sharp, cocky, and totally fearless. "You've been eating at that table too long, Roman. People are starting to wonder if you're the head, or just the leftovers." At this point, if the WWE Universe had a volume meter, it would have exploded. Even the production crew was backing away slowly, probably whispering prayers that they wouldn't get caught in the fallout. Reigns' eyes narrowed. The slight smirk he wore turned into something darker, less amused, more menacing. He stepped closer until the two were chest to chest, separated only by pride and poor decision-making. "You don't disrespect the table," Roman growled, his voice now rising. "You don't talk about something you haven't earned. You want to be the future? You better survive the present." Breakker chuckled and leaned in, his face now just inches from Roman's. "I'm not here to survive, tribal chief. I'm here to replace." Boom. Mic drop. Internet broken. Twitter went feral. Michael Cole probably fainted off-screen. This wasn't just banter. This was nuclear. Suddenly, Solo Sikoa moved forward, his arm twitching as if ready to drop Breakker with a Samoan spike. But Roman lifted one hand, just a subtle gesture, and Solo stopped dead. Not yet. Not here. Reigns wasn't finished. You're standing in my house, Roman said. This ain't NXT. This ain't your daddy's WCW. This is the island of relevancy. And you? You're just another tourist. Breakker raised an eyebrow. Funny, he said, voice laced with sarcasm. You've been talking about relevance since 2020. But all I see is a man holding on to the past like a souvenir. Cue security. Cue chaos. Cue Unpoor in turn getting his headset slapped off trying to stop what looked like the spark of a civil war. And here's where it gets spicy. The tension wasn't just scripted, it felt too real. This didn't feel like your run-of-the-mill segment where someone throws a table and then magically calms down before the next commercial. No, this had the weight of a shoot. Roman was breathing hard. Braun had that wild Steiner glare. And you could feel the line between kayfabe and real-life ambition cracking like a cheap announce table. The internet lit up. Fans dissected every second of the segment like it was the Zapruder film. Did Roman flinch first? Was that a real threat? Is WWE setting up Breakker vs. Reigns for WrestleMania 41? Rumors started swirling immediately. Was this segment greenlit by creative, or did Reigns go off script to send a message to a locker room that's getting younger, stronger, and hungrier? And here's the thing that's got everyone buzzing, this wasn't even a match. This was a moment. A confrontation. But it said more than a main event could. It was symbolic. On one side, Roman Reigns, the architect of a near 4-year reign of terror, the face of SmackDown, the locker room leader. On the other side, Bron Breakker, the future that refuses to wait its turn, the embodiment of what's next, and a man who doesn't just want to take the torch. He wants to set fire to the whole damn building. After the segment, Reigns was seen storming into the Bloodline locker room, slamming the door so hard a production light shook loose from the ceiling. Solo was silent. Jacob Fatu was smirking like he'd just watched someone light a match in a fireworks factory. Meanwhile, Breakker? He didn't retreat. He stood his ground, then turned and walked away like he'd just faced the boss on day one and passed the test. And now, WWE's in uncharted territory. For the first time in years, someone looked Roman Reigns in the eye, refused to acknowledge him, and lived to tell the tale. But the question remains, for how long? Because Roman Reigns doesn't forget. He doesn't forgive. And when someone threatens the dynasty he built brick by brutal brick, there's only ever one outcome, war. Whether it happens at SummerSlam, Survivor Series, or a future WrestleMania, one thing's for sure, the table's getting crowded, and someone's about to get flipped off it. But maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what WWE needs.